Greg, Maya, and Betty are not experts, nor do they claim to be. They're just a bunch of nerds who enjoy talking about movies, shows, and current events. So sit back, grab a coffee, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode of All Queued Up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Queued Up, the review podcast where we watch shows on streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, HBO Max, what have you. I'm your host, Greg Dietz, and with me always is Maya, Don Fisher, and Betty Badger. How's your guys' week's been?
Pretty shitty, so I'm just gonna pass that one on to Maya. How have you been, Maya?
Yeah, it's been a bad week for various reasons that we won't go into. But yeah, Greg, hopefully your week's been better.
It has been. I am convinced that when I have a good week, other people around me have bad weeks. I swear to God, like every time I'm like, hey, everything went like really well this week. Everyone else is just like, they're fucking shit. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Like, if I feel bad because I'm like, I got really excited about the whole. I told you guys about it, the unlimited internet thing. Which, if the audience doesn't know, I should probably just tell you. I try to keep I'm a caretaker for my parents. I try to keep them happy as much as I can, especially with my mom being home all the time. I want her to have entertainment. I want her to be able to watch whatever she wants. The problem
and they
is
switched. They saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico.
Well, I mean. Not too far off from what happened. Just drop the Geico part. But she downloaded Discovery Plus recently. And she wanted to watch all these shows, but the problem was we don't have unlimited internet, or we didn't. And from a friend of mine who had to get unlimited because of his kids, it costed an extra $50. And I was like, we don't have, like, we already pay $190 for what we have. There's no way that we could add an extra 50 to that and be okay. So we went into the Xfinity store, and I talked to the girl and I explained everything what I just told you guys. And she just looks at me, she goes, it's not an extra 50, it's only 11. And I was like, what, huh? Like my friend, in a different county.
Well, it used to be 50. Comcast recently changed their pricing model structure and all the plans that they offer within the past 6 months. So,
well, also,
it very well could have been that.
She also mentioned that the reason it was 50 for his location was because of his county, where he lives versus where I live. That was like, if you live in California, you know where Placerville is. It's in the foothills, and because it's in the foothills, just things like cable cost a little bit more.
Oh, so they fuck those people because they're further out.
Yes.
Wouldn't know a thing about that.
No, nothing at all. We wouldn't know anything about living remotely and being fucked by corporations. Never.
I totally get it. So I tell her, I said, it's also it's hard to add the $11 because then we'd be paying $200 a month, and it's already $190 is already hard. And she was like, why do you pay $190? That doesn't make any sense. It seems way more than what your service is, even without unlimited. And I go, I'm not sure. Can you check it out? She was like, yeah, not a problem, because I think what I can do for you is just do what you have for internet, what you have for cable, take the phone off and add unlimited to the cable box, and you'd only be paying $120 a month. I was like, hold the fucking phone. Let's do that if we can. And so
they literally are holding the phone.
Yeah, basically once a year or so, you have to call them up and threaten to leave so you can get a better deal.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought I was going to have to do, because I've done that in the past. Like, I got pissed off at them on the phone, and they were like, "We'll do this for you," and they gave us a better deal. But this girl was just like, "Yeah, I got this for you. No big deal, no problem." And I was like, I didn't even have to get angry. This is great. This is like my dream.
Oh, you don't even have to get angry. You just have to be like, no, I want to cancel my service. And they'll pretty much do anything to make you stay. So
true. Because I did say that we were going to get rid of cable to like adjust that cost and just go internet, cut the cord. But I didn't want to have to deal with like trying to get my parents on board with Hulu and that kind of shit, because they're comfortable with what they have. So the fact that she was like, she got me to keep, like, she allowed me to keep the cable, have unlimited internet at the speed we have it at, gave me a new modem, and like everything in my house works just the same as it did before, but now we have unlimited internet. I'm like, I could not fucking be happier about that. $50 less, like I just
Yeah,
so
that's
so
good.
that was good. And then my dad got his first vaccine shot, so that makes me excited and happy.
Did he get the Moderna?
Yeah, he got Moderna.
That's what my dad got. So yeah, I mean he got both of his, and yeah, he had typical, feel kind of crappy for a couple days symptoms with each one. I don't know how your dad has taken it.
We kind of discussed this a little bit, but Dad,
Yeah.
he had pretty nasty reaction to it. Like I know he was in pain and had the chills and flu-like symptoms, but he every time he gets sick, like I'll bring a cold home and everyone gets it, but my dad somehow has it worse than everybody else, if that makes sense. So his reaction to it could have been over exaggerated because of the type of person he is. But I know that it wasn't good. Like we worked Sunday and progressively on Sunday because he got the shot on Saturday, and so through Sunday as we're working, he's getting progressively like I don't feel good over the day, and then it was Sunday night that he had like that really bad reaction, and then Monday he was just like I am exhausted, like there's no way that I can drive, and I was like, we'll stay home. No big deal.
Yeah, my dad said it made him feel really tired.
Yeah.
For like a day or two. And then he was okay.
I'm sure that my dad had this very same or similar reaction to other people in his age range and his health, situations, but I can't stress this enough. My dad is he always has the man colds, as you put it, Betty.
Yeah, my mom got her second dose last Thursday, and it knocked her on her ass throughout Friday.
Do you guys think that if this pandemic were harsher to children, that people would be taking it more seriously?
100%. 100%.
Because, I feel like, when polio came through, and when it was polio season, because they didn't know what was causing it, people would literally lock their kids inside, and you cannot go to the pool, you can't do this, because they had all these thoughts about what might cause it. And because it's kids, most of our plagues in history that we think of took out children and elderly. People that were middle-aged tended to be the ones that were left behind. Now we're the ones being taken out. The children are, for the most part, they can carry it. They don't tend to die from it like they would with a normal plague. And I wonder how much of a difference that would make to some of these mask holes who run around saying, my body, my rights, over a fucking piece of cloth over their face. I mean, if you thought that your child could die from this more easily, would you be more careful? Do you think the average idiot would be more careful if they thought their kid would more likely die from this?
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah,
I would hope so. I just wish they'd have that, kind of feeling for the rest of humanity as well. It's like they're wearing a mask protects me. My wearing a mask protects them. So I'm just like, what's your problem here?
Science is these people's, weak point when it comes to schooling, I imagine. Science class was a tough subject for them.
Well, it's like the whole Johnson & Johnson vaccine and, the Catholic Church's stance on it. And I couldn't find anything on their stance on HeLa cells, which was interesting. I'm sure you guys know about HeLa cells.
I'll inject some aborted fetus cells into me. You kidding?
Well, do you know the story of Henrietta Lacks? She was a Black woman who had cancer. She passed away from it, but the doctors discovered that she had cells that didn't die. And they took her cells and they used them for things. And they didn't tell her, they didn't tell her family. This came out years and years later, and they're called HeLa cells. And they did it without her permission, So I'm like, well, shouldn't the Catholic Church have a stance on that as well? But they don't. I'm like,
Because I believe that the Catholic Church, like much like Christianity as a whole, and sorry for any Christians that we may have been listening, but the problem with the religion as a whole is that there are too many sects.
Oh yeah, sex. Yeah.
Sex. Yeah. So I mean, it's and it's always very picky and choosy about what rules they want to follow, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of different denominations, and they can't even agree among themselves about what's correct. So,
I mean, between churches, it's even that bad. Like they can both be Protestant, but they'll disagree about things. It's like you guys have a book that tells you. I don't get this, but
yeah. Well, I interpret it this way. Yeah.
Folks, what we are going to be talking about today is episode 8, or the penultimate episode of WandaVision, and the film I Care a Lot, which you can find on Netflix. Why don't we go ahead and dive into WandaVision? Because for me personally, I knew everything they were going to show. There's a few little tidbits here and there that I didn't know, and we'll get into that. But how much did you know going in about Wanda's history prior to the episode, Betty? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, I've watched all the Marvel movies that had her in it.
Okay.
So, I know her history well enough. Jeff knew some history from his own comic book reading days as a young man. So I knew a little bit. I knew who Agatha was. I know she's a little bit crazy, so I was totally open for this episode, and I wasn't disappointed. I liked it. It was very interesting.
The reason I ask is because I've talked to a few people who forgot Age of Ultron and didn't pay attention to her like storyline in other Marvel films like Civil War and Infinity War.
I watched those things intentionally to learn her storyline for the show. So I went through and binged all the movies with her and Vision's story in it, and watched those after watching the first 2 episodes because I was like, I have no idea what's going on here, and then I caught myself up, and it was all good.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, that makes sense. It was interesting because for anyone who if you're listening to this podcast, you probably watched the episode. I don't know anybody who hasn't, but this episode went through Wanda's history as a whole. We got a clearer picture as to why the sitcom aspect was such a strong element within Wanda's bubble. I
love that. I love that flashback too of showing the suitcase of DVDs that her dad's trying to sell at a market, and it's all of the fucking shows that they've emulated throughout this show, from I Love Lucy and Bewitched and the Brady Bunch, Malcolm in the Middle. It's just awesome that they just had that little nod in there.
Yeah, no, it tied everything in a nice neat bow, and that was I appreciated that. And then they went to when Wanda was working with or as a part of Hydra. I don't know what you want to call that exactly, but how she got her powers. Now I have to ask you two this because people have been misunderstanding this, in my opinion. But Agatha says to Wanda before they go to the Hydra thing that when to stop the bomb, that she cast a probability hex.
Mm-hmm. Establishing that she had powers before Hydra even started manipulating her.
But then Wanda said, no, it was just a defective bomb.
Because she didn't know what she was doing.
She didn't know what she was doing. It was
because the reason I'm asking this, the reason I'm bringing this up is I took it that one of two things. Wanda's powers are only activated basically by chance. Like that's what this whole episode is trying to show, that her powers are activated in context to essentially the end of the episode. Like she didn't know that she was going to create this world. It just happened because of chaos magic.
Yeah, but
maybe in a high stress situation.
This episode also showed that, she's not alone as the only magic user. And,
well, we knew that from Doctor Strange too. So
yeah. And also it's very much. I'm going to wheel a time out here. In the Wheel of Time, the women who are Aes Sedai and can touch magic, the source of magic, some of them have to be taught. Some of them can only do it under certain stressful situations. I mean, and that's kind of how I see young Wanda is. She's an initiate who can touch the source, but she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know how she's doing it or what she's doing, but she's doing it to protect herself, which is what is a trope typically when it comes to magic users in any kind of story. If they're born with that power when they're young, at some point there will be a trope where you'll see they protect themselves or someone they love with their magic, not knowing what they're doing.
I have a question for you, because to me, that scene did not read that young Wanda cast a probability hex. And the reason I say this is because if she did, wouldn't Pietro have remembered that when relaying the story to
Not
Ultron?
necessarily.
No.
It just seems...
They were both kids.
They were both kids, and it was an extremely traumatic experience. They saw their parents die in front of them. They probably suppressed that memory, PTSD.
See, I just don't read it that I don't read it that she actually cast a probability hex on the bomb.
I think she probably did.
But she did. It showed
how
she did.
We didn't see it.
Yeah,
she got pulled out from under there as an adult.
That bomb should have gone off. It wasn't. It's a Stark Industries bomb. It was not defective.
That doesn't mean anything.
I think it means a lot. That was not a defective bomb. She did it. She has magic. That's the reason. Why do you think she survived the whole going in there with the staff thing to begin with? They've done this to other people that had died as a result of it. She survived because she already had magic. Agatha's backstory shows that you can have magic and not have to have anything to do with these Infinity Stones.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I don't believe that Wanda had magical abilities before the Mind Stone unlocked them. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying
it shows when she's under the bed or whatever that she's using it.
If it
doesn't show that she uses it.
I
literally watched it with Mom. She just puts out her hand and then she's pulled out from under the bed with as an adult, and that's when Agatha assumes that she used a probability hex, to which Wanda then responds, "No, the bomb was just defective." And I know that's left up.
That it used it.
No, you don't see anything.
You don't see the effect. No, she gets pulled out before you can see anything, and I don't think that in every instance I don't think in every instance you see Wanda using her magic. But again,
every instance in the films that she's used her magic, it's always had a red, some kind of red hit to it, red colorization.
But the thing is, if the stone unlocked it, it had to be there to be unlocked.
Necessarily, because it's explained
then
later.
The stone wouldn't be unlocking it; it would be imbuing powers into her. It would not be unlocking powers; it would be giving powers to her.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why when she looks at the Mind Stone and you see that like visage of her in the actual Scarlet Witch outfit, it's an alternate reality, basically like giving her the powers.
I don't know. That's not how I see it, but I think she did use a spell. I think that she had latent magic ability because Agatha's backstory again shows us that witches exist in this world. They've always existed, just like in our world, but these bitches were real. And her own mother tried to kill her. And I'm assuming she had the Book of Power from Mephisto.
So something I want to bring up about the comic books in relation to this is that Wanda and Pietro were given their powers in the comic. They were not mutants. It was like a
retcon.
A retcon, yeah. But the way that it was explained in the comic was that Chthon gave Wanda her chaos magic, that she wasn't born with it. And I know that they're using part of that story essentially for this. that's more so why I'm going the route that I'm going, is because it doesn't fit into the other dialogue from other films that she was just born with it, because it just doesn't fit for me.
Well, again, having read as much as I have about fantasy, that's one of my things. It's a trope. It really is. It's like when the Wheel of Time comes out, you're gonna cat hair, man. I love you, Luna, but you're furry. The trope of how magic is used in someone, it's so clear to me. Young person saves themselves by using magic, not knowing what they're doing. Like Frozen, little girl accidentally hurts her sister, trying to do something fun, and then she locks herself away for years because of the shit. I mean, there's certain tropes that come with magic use that you're going to see over and over again. And that's what I felt like I was seeing. And they were explaining it by showing that Agatha didn't work with Hydra. She had these powers back in 1636, Apparently a whole bunch of bitches did. And I don't know if I would call them mutants.
Well, that's the other thing about Marvel you have to keep in mind, is that magic users are fucking everywhere. Technically everything that happens with Asgard, like the Asgardians call that shit magic. But it's all drained from a different spot. So like Wanda's chaos magic came from Chthon, and then the Agatha's was from some other fucking location, from like some other mystical creature, and then Doctor Strange's magic comes from like a different set of gods, and like it's all derivative from some other location within Marvel, and that to me is more so why I'm saying what I'm saying, that it just doesn't fit for me that she was born with it. Personally,
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, again, but for me, it's just that's what I saw, so that's how I feel about it. And more than I do, and you've read the comics and stuff, so you're going to have a different take on it, And at this point, I don't know if Disney's going to go with that canon or not. I have no idea what they're doing.
Well, like I'll give you an example of something that happened yesterday. I was talking to my dad about WandaVision, and we were discussing certain characters and stuff, and I had my entire thought process in relation to the comic books, because I said that Helmut Zemo, or he'll become Baron Zemo, is the villain of Winter Soldier and Falcon, and or it's Falcon, Winter Soldier, whatever. And my dad says, who is that character? And I said, he was in Civil War. He was the one that was he was like, okay, that's who I thought you were talking about. Yeah, like he was trying to get revenge on them because his parents were killed in Sokovia. And I immediately was like, no, he's German. What the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, no, his parents were killed in Sokovia. And I was like, he grew up. He's like the 13th generation of the Zemos in the comics. Like, that's what he was in the movies. Like, that's what he was. He was a Hydra agent. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, he wasn't. And I was like, and I had to look it up, and I was like, holy shit, you're right, Dad. I was using my fucking comic book knowledge instead of like paying attention to the goddamn MCU. And that might be what I'm doing here when it comes to WandaVision. But I swear to God, like, it did not read to me that she used her powers under that table. It just read to me that
it did to me, especially because Pietro says to her, no, don't. Like she's getting ready to use a spell. It read that they were aware of it.
Funny. That's funny. It read to me that she was going to try to get out from under the table, and he was telling her not to.
No, because she was reaching out towards that bomb. Yeah, that's the way it came out. Stop it. That's the way it came across to me, and you were right, because I was just looking at the scene. It doesn't show an effect that she's pulled out, but
it shows her hands. She's doing what a magic user would do with their hands.
Exactly. She started to do motions.
She's doing that. If I'm doing this, I'm trying to use magic. This is me going, magic fingers.
Well, she just puts out her hand. She doesn't. Like she
but
moves
the
forward
way
a little
she
bit, puts out her
holds
hand.
her hands when she has her hands, they're
Okay,
again,
I'm sorry.
trope.
I have to
It's the
stop you there.
trope stance.
That's not true in the sense of how she held her hand out as a kid versus how she holds her hands now. She doesn't just do that.
Well, yeah,
She's
but
like
you gotta learn. You gotta learn as you're a kid.
But that's the thing about Wanda.
Simple gestures.
She didn't really learn. Like I'm not joking. Like from my knowledge of the MCU, from everything that we've shown of her, she has the ability to use the magic after the Mind Stone gives it to her when they're in the Hydra cell, and she's using the blocks and she's like kind of learning how to move the blocks. That's when she learns how to use it, but she never like properly trains with it, which is what causes a lot of the problems in the MCU later, which is part of her trauma. It just does not read to me that she had the powers beforehand. It just doesn't. To me, the way that she moved slightly out from under the table as a little girl to put her hand out was Pietro saying, "No, don't go towards the bomb." Not, "No, don't use your powers." I still don't think that she had powers as a little girl. I just don't. And if they say otherwise in the show, great. I'll accept that information and run with it. But to me, it just did not read that way, and I think that they intentionally did that for this conversation. By the way, I think that they left it ambiguous on purpose.
Again, I'm not going off what I know of Marvel. I'm simply going off what I know of typical magic user tropes. You know. Especially ones that involve children who are born with magical latent abilities. Their parents might know something, but usually their parents end up dead somehow. So it's like the Disney thing. You're always going to have a dead parent.
As far as I know with Marvel, unless it's a mutant, and I'm talking about comic books, unless it's a mutant, I don't think anyone's born with magic powers. There might have been, but I don't know. I know that the major magic
Angel. People are born with magic. He can levitate.
think of the major magic users in Marvel, and they all were taught. And I'm not counting like Adam Warlock, even though I know that he casts spells. I still wouldn't put him in the category of born with it, though he was born with powers.
Well, he was created.
Yeah, technically it was created, yeah. I say born, quotation fingers. Yeah, that's crazy to me that scene can be read differently.
Yeah,
I just did not.
Well, again, we have different perspectives. I mean, we're all watching the same thing, but we're seeing it from different viewpoints.
Right.
Because I don't have the knowledge that you have, when it comes to the comic books, and I don't know.
I mean, even outside of that knowledge, like, I'm talking strictly for that scene itself. Like, I didn't read that scene that she was born with it. I read it that the other way around. I read it that she did not have powers and she was going to leave the table, and that's why he said no, don't. And that what Wanda said was the truth to Agatha. I mean, regardless of how we want to read that scene, whether she was born with it or not, we know that the Mind Stone, like, either A, fully unlocked her powers, or B, gave them to her. Regardless, after the Mind Stone is when she had her powers, straight up. And
so does this happen in the comics at all? Does she? Okay, because I'm like, are these kids real?
In the comic, Wanda she was introduced as a mutant and a bad guy. She later joins the Avengers and she's a good guy, yada yada yada. Down the road, it's like revealed that she's not Magneto's kid, and that her and Quicksilver are not mutants, and that their powers are actually given to them by demons or other entities, and that their father and mother are, I don't remember who they are, but they're like not good people, and I think their mom is not from Earth. I could be wrong, but like their entire history gets retconned 3 times, I think. And again, kind of retconned, because it's still addressed in the comic like, you're not mutants. Like, it's how they do it, but it's technically a retcon because it's retroactively fixing the continuity. Is your cat trying to fuck with shit?
Yeah. Apparently, I'm not petting her enough.
But yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, I think I like the episode. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Either way it goes, I'll be happy, and we're gonna have probably a second season at least, so that should be fun.
So I don't think we
so
are.
much cat hair. Really?
I genuinely. Oh yeah. No, I think these
this
shows,
is a one and done.
Oh,
I think
no.
all the Marvel shows are going to be one and done. They're just longer movies. They're just longer movies. I don't think the character of Wanda and or Vision are gone completely from the MCU, but I don't think we're ever having another WandaVision.
Yeah, I think it's just, ways to set up this is this chapter of the story and the progression. I think that's how it is. And when the story leads to, X character for their time and however it proceeds, then they'll get a season of a show. But I don't think they're going to be ongoing, with the exception of the What If, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I think the What If will be multiple seasons, but What If might also not be a seasonal thing. They might just, after the premiere of these first 6 episodes, they might just hey, we got 3 more coming out in a few months or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be against.
Well, I mean, I was thinking they were going to set up, the plot of Agatha being a kind of maybe a mentor to Wanda.
They might, but I doubt it. Because again, as you said in the comics, she's a mentor to Wanda, but she's not here. She's a villain in this in the MCU.
Is she a villain?
She still hasn't come across as a villain to me.
Yeah, I don't know if she's a villain. I don't know if I'd call her that, but
they have called her a villain, and by they I mean the writers.
She's a misunderstood woman. That's what she is, and they always call us a villain when we're angry.
Well, I think any good bad guy or any good antagonist is just misunderstood, or that their intentions are not exactly what they're not evil, but you still call them a villain. You still signify them as a villain. So,
I can't reconcile her as a villain because I like her too much.
Oh, I love her. I think
I know
Catherine Hahn has done an amazing job with the character. I am in no way, shape, or form.
She has blown it out of the park. I loved her. Yeah, it's been great.
I'm just pretty confident that once this show is over, Agatha will be gone, much like a lot of other villains that have shown up in the MCU. But I think it is setting up for something more significant. I know that the bad guy of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is going to be King the Conqueror. And what I think is going to happen for the next foreseeable future in the MCU before that movie comes out is we're going to get a lot of characters that we really, really dislike, like Director Hayward, for example. And it's going to be revealed in Quantumania that we've seen King the Conqueror throughout the MCU. We just didn't know it was him. So I think that keep an eye on certain characters that you don't think have any kind of major significance, like Hayward. Because I feel like in the future there's going to be something there. And again, that could just be me prophesizing what I want to be, but
I did feel, and I think Jeff did as well. God, Luna, you are shedding so much. It's getting that time of year. It felt cut short. The episode did, because we did have that little extra bit at the end, which it wasn't that long, but I just kind of, I was waiting on something to happen with Michelle. Is that her name? Monica?
No, Monica.
Monica. And it didn't. So I'm hoping this week's is going to be a longer end episode.
I'm pretty confident I know how this final episode is going to go. And I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong, because it's a little too easy, if you will. But I think that there's going to be a fight between Agatha versus Wanda, Vision, and Billy and Tommy. Mainly because I saw a picture of the four of them standing and looking at something. And they're going to defeat Agatha either with the help of Monica, or they're just going to be able to beat her. And that'll be the first half of the episode, and then the second half will be that White Vision comes into the bubble and fights, or has like a fight with Wanda's Vision. And then something's going to happen that's going to cause Wanda to basically open up rifts in time. Not time, I'm sorry, rifts in reality, which is what will lead into Multiverse of Madness. That's what I think is going to happen. Again, I have no fucking clue. I could be way off base, but theories are theories. So,
but, well, I liked it. Yeah, and when you did get to see her go in and take Vision, take his body, Hayward set it all up. You know, I mean, that was something we had talked about from the start.
You don't see her take his body though.
Yeah, you don't.
No, but he pissed her off. He had some motive behind what he did. I mean, everything he did was fucking calculated. And I'm like, what is this bitch doing? What is this bitch setting up?
So that's something I do want to point out is that people I think are just writing off Hayward as like a kind of a dick. And I'm like, there's something more there with him. He's either A, King the Conqueror, B, a Skrull. Like there's something else there about him. And I think the reason is because the footage that Darcy found in regards to Wanda breaking in, or I think she found it or shown to her, whatever, was doctored. It was clearly doctored to make it look like Wanda stole Vision's body. And then we get the reveal at the end of this episode, well, I guess less at the end, but that she did not take his body, that the Vision inside of her bubble she created out of chaos magic, and that Hayward basically used Wanda's magic to turn on White Vision.
Okay, that would make sense.
Which, by the way, in the comic, White Vision is Vision. It was the way that it was done was I don't remember the bad guy's name, but it was via sword. They stole Vision's body while they were sleeping, or something to that effect. Completely dismantled him. They found his dismantled body. Wonder Man like carried everything out that involved Vision. Vision. Hank Pym put him back together and explained to Wanda numerous times, "You're not going to get your husband back. He can't come back." And like the version they brought back was like crazy and attacked everybody, so they had to destroy it. And then when he did it again, when Hank Pym did it correctly, he was white, but he didn't have any memories of Wanda at all. And it was quite a few issues that it took a while before Vision came back to normal. But it was like they had to get the memories of a Vision from a different universe to get to put him into White Vision. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to do anything like that with this. They could have White Vision be like the main Vision of the MCU down the road here. I don't know. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. They could do it this way where like White Vision absorbs Wanda's vision into him and fix it. I don't know. It's exciting. It's very fucking exciting. But
yeah, I'm very curious to see where we're going to go this week.
Yeah.
So much love.
But
yeah, speaking of that one line in the show when Wanda and Vision are sitting in the Avengers compound, and this takes place after the events of the Age of Ultron, and you know Pietro's just been killed, and she's talking about her grief.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to her, you know, what is grief if not love persevering? Oh my God, that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
It hit me in a way. It did. And apparently people are throwing a fit about that line on the internet.
They're throwing a fit about that line because a lot of people who really enjoyed the line are making art out of it or something to that effect, and they're like, it's just as bad as the "We Live in a Society" from Joker, and I'm like, no, the fuck, it's not. It's not even remotely the fucking same.
No, not at all. A lot of people that it hit hard are usually, you know, people that I've seen comment about it that have been through something traumatic and have suffered some serious grief, because it's a beautiful way of expressing it in the most simplistic form. I mean, What is grief?
Love. It's love persevering because you love them so much that you are grieving them. It doesn't. Your love doesn't die.
And I love the fact that it came from a synthoid, a synthezoid, the most non-human character being the most human thing about the show. Is just, I love it.
Yeah, because in the comics, when Wanda and Vision get to, like, they become married and whatnot, it's just, she's just like, you're not human, so that's why I like you. It's kind of how, like, it was played. But for the MCU, they're like, there has to be something more. There has to be something more that makes them so important to one another. And I think that scene exemplified that, which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna mention that scene earlier because, like, one of the things that people pointed out about this show was that the final sitcom, if you will, was mockumentaries like Office and Modern Family. Mm-hmm. But we never saw her watching The Office or Modern Family. So not sure where she got that part, but a big old whatever on that as well. Yeah. She had to at some point because most of this fucking show takes place, most of the MCU takes place between 2010 or 2008 and 2019. I guess technically 2023.
Yeah.
But that was always funny to me. Somebody also tried to point out that the scene in Sokovia when they were kids took place in 1999, and it doesn't make sense that the Malcolm Middle DVD is there. And I was just like,
because that didn't come out on DVD until 2001.
Yeah,
it's bootleg, man.
Which was
the show didn't debut until like a week or two into. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
I did not have cable for a long time.
Wasn't it on regular TV?
Like, I didn't have a TV. I mean, literally, I lived in an apartment with a couch and a radio. And I worked at a Waffle House. Okay, bitches.
You can't watch Malcolm Middle on the radio, so.
No, and that's how I found out about the Twin Towers too. I thought it was like some Orson Welles shit. Like, I was like, this ain't real. This cannot be real. And I went to my neighbor's house, and I was like, holy shit, this is real. Yeah, that was. Because all I was thinking is, this some Orson Welles shit. What the fuck are y'all trying to pull? Because I didn't have a TV,
Jesus. Yeah, that's that.
So yeah, there was a good 5 years of my early adulthood where I just did not have access to things like that because I was working and I was poor. Yeah, so
fair enough. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and give a grade to the episode, and then I got to go to the bathroom, so we'll take a quick break. But Betty, why don't you go ahead and give a grade to it?
I'm going to give it an A because I really did like it. I liked seeing Agatha's, a little bit of Agatha's backstory. I liked watching her and who she is swirling around Wanda. I think it's opening things up in Wanda. Finally getting to see more of the backstory of what happened with Vision and Wanda going to see him afterwards, and that dude, and setting it up. Yeah, so I was very pleased with this. I'm very hopeful for this week's and excited to watch it. What about you, Maya?
I'll give it an A as well. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed seeing the glimpses into her past. To me, that one scene, it read to me that she's always had powers, and I think she's repressed them. That's just the way I'm interpreting it from now. But just a lot of emotion there, especially the conversation with Vision really hit home. I like the tease that we're going to see a throwdown next week between them. I don't think Agatha's evil. I think she's just thinking she has to do this because she fears the chaos magic, just the same way that her coven,
feared what she could do. Rightfully
ended
so.
up doing. Well, I think in the centuries that have elapsed since, I think maybe she has become more mellow.
Aware.
aware, and it's like, okay, but we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, really enjoying this, and I do want to know more about where did this Pietro come from, because she clearly conjured him somehow. But I want to know why he looks like Evan Peters. I think there's something more there that we're not being told, but I'm hopeful for the M word mutant. But we'll see.
So
yeah,
I'm going to give the episode an A as well. I think it's fucking fantastic. It was great. It's really nice to have the backstory for people who don't really know or forgot kind of a lot of the stuff because they only watched the movies once when they came out or some shit like my mom. I do want to point out a couple things that Maya you said. I don't think we're getting mutants right now. I don't think that's the point of Evan Peters. I think the point of Evan Peters was entirely cosmetic, essentially. Like, we knew it was Quicksilver just by him showing up, but we knew that it wasn't Quicksilver because it doesn't look like Aaron Taylor Johnson. So I think it was just clever casting. I don't think it was anything more than that. I could be wrong, but that's my interpretation of it. I think that the point of Agatha being there was to absorb other witches' powers, and she could sense magic in that bubble, and she was able to enter it because she absorbed everyone, her mother and the other witches' magic. She absorbed them. She didn't just kill them. She literally absorbed it. Because if you notice when they're doing this, they're pushing back as they're getting drained.
Yeah,
so I think that's what they're trying to do.
What they were trying to do was bind her, and it turned itself on them.
Right,
so
right.
It was very. I thought it was brilliant. I was like, wow, I love this. But again, that the magic user trope is just so in my face for this right now, and I don't know if they're doing that to throw us off, which they could be doing. But they're doing it well. Because the trope is hardcore there. Everything I've seen with, that involves children and magic use. The tropes are just lined up neatly in a row. So I'm very curious to see how this week's going to go. I'm very excited about it. So I guess we'll give it an A.
Well, I also think that Agatha is not long for anything after WandaVision.
I hope she does. I would love to see her as a regular in the Marvel comic universe. I'm
pretty confident. Like, again, I could be wrong. 100% could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that she's a one-off.
Yeah, I would love to see her come back, though. It's just like when Kat Dennings showed back up for this, I was so excited. I was like, yeah, Kat Dennings. So and I don't think she is anybody, and she has, she didn't play a major role in the movies and stuff either. It's like, I really wish she had been Thor's love interest instead of Natalie Portman. Yeah, because I love Kat Dennings. She's so sarcastic.
Also, Kat Dennings was willing to come back. That's also
reason, but she's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah, I hope we get to see more of her in this last episode too, because we don't she is stuck inside there with her mind, but after Vision left her, we didn't see anything of her this episode. So we'll see more of her in the final. So the next thing that we're going to talk about was a movie that Betty actually recommended. I probably wouldn't have watched this otherwise. So thank you for that, Betty.
You are welcome.
I Care a Lot, which you can find on Netflix. Betty, do you want to give a synopsis for the movie?
Well, I don't know if this goes down in other countries. I'm sure it does. A woman takes over guardianship of elderly patients or elderly people and sticks them in care facilities and sells off all their assets. And she's basically turning a profit like that. So she finds a mark, basically a whale. And she's told she shouldn't go after her, but she does anyways. And turns out she picked the wrong old lady to take guardianship of. And she learns why. And it's a shit show, but it's a great shit show of people you don't like and bad things happening to them.
Yeah. it was really interesting because I went into this not knowing what I was expecting, because I heard you describe it in the way that you did, and I kind of knew that's what it was about, but I didn't know exactly. And I think it was about 30 minutes in when essentially Peter Dinklage's character is introduced, and I just went, "Oh shit, this got hella interesting."
Yeah, it was a slow burn for a bit, and then once you got into it, I mean, as soon as I saw the trailer with Peter Dinklage, I was like, "Oh, I'm totally watching this," because I love him. So, I mean, like you said, a lot of people didn't seem to be taken by it. Notice it got a 6.4 on IMDb, which I think it should have had a better number than that. And I think that you're probably right. People don't like characters they can't identify with or don't want to identify with.
Yeah, because every single character in the show is detestable.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
They're disgusting people. They're horrible people. I mean, and I loved it. I loved every single.
I love so on there's a game that's out right now called you can actually find it on Game Pass if you're interested, Betty. It's kind of a casual game, but it's the Untitled Goose Game, and you play as a goose I'm getting to something, so follow me here. You play as a goose that fucks with a village. You steal shit. You do whatever. Like there's tasks, and you just fuck with people. Like you scare a little kid into a phone booth. It's hilarious. But on Steam, they gave the game the moniker of villain protagonist, and I love that moniker, villain protagonist, because that's what this fucking movie or this show is. Everybody in this is a villain, in my mind. Yeah. Everybody's a villain, but we had a protagonist and we had an antagonist, and that's fascinating to watch for me. I was really, really digging where the story was going to go. I kept saying to myself, if any of these characters die, I'm cool with it. I was okay with it, but the way that it played out was so much more fascinating. Maya,
I loved it.
Maya, what are your thoughts on it? We haven't heard you at all.
I know.
I thought it was really well done and terrifying at the same time. And with the exception of, Diane Weist's character, the old lady, Jennifer Peterson, that was placed in the home against her will, I thought everybody was detestable and just absolutely loathed them and wanted to see them get their comeuppance. But it's terrifying the way that it was set up. Here you have this lady that does basically essentially as a social worker for adults. She's appointed by the courts to be a guardian for people who can't care for themselves, and she has a doctor who basically is willing to feed her patients, like, okay, this one's wealthy, this one's got this, and more difficult patients, or and just faking documents and holding emergency court orders and saying, oh yeah, the patient, it's an emergency, they can't care for themselves, and then all of a sudden, because the court deems it so, they're not even present at a hearing, boom, they're in a home now and losing their. I was like, that's terrifying, and it
really happens.
And it's something you never give a thought to, how much that would really actually happen. And I'm sure it happens more often than we would like to admit.
In Arizona and I think Nevada, but I remember watching about this a couple of years ago, and I was horrified to learn that just anybody could walk into a court and say, this person is elderly and unable to care for themselves, give me guardianship. They're not somebody who is an actual social worker. They're just she's just a bitch off the street who's making money off of people, and they allow this. Usually the judges who go along with it are in the pockets of the people who are profiting off the elderly people. I mean, they'll just come in and remove you from your home, take everything you have. They'll split up husbands and wives, put them in different nursing homes, drug them up so they can't talk to people. I mean, absolute insanity that we allow this to go on in America. So when I saw that this movie was based on that, I really hope that it brings to light to more people that don't let this happen to your parents. Don't let this happen to your grandparents, or don't let it happen to you, because it does happen, and that's very much how it goes down. It's scary as shit to think about, but I hope more people, it brings awareness and a light to this situation, so people might think twice before doing certain things and making sure they've got the right paperwork for their parents, so somebody can't come in and just, we're doing it now, shit like that.
I'm glad that my parents are poor. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you ain't got nothing, they can't get nothing. That's what I've always said. You can't get blood from a stone, man. I don't know what you want out of
me. I was also kind of surprised with how funny it actually was.
It was very dark humor,
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. They described it as a dark comedy, but I didn't really find any humor in it at all.
Oh, I did.
I just thought it was absolutely terrifying.
Like the old man coming out of the room during the gunfight in the hallway. Or the gun going off after the guard gets shot in the chest. The canister goes off and hits the fucking dude in the fucking like head and chin. It's hard to see.
I mean, and then the fact that, Roman and her end up, what she does, to him and gets him under guardianship. I mean, that was like checkmate, touche, even he had to admire it. I'm like, how did you let this bitch live to begin with? But that, whatever. It was barely an inconvenience,
and then he goes into a partnership with her. That was what made me so angry. I was like,
hey, evil loves evil.
So I saw that. Evil. I saw that coming. I was like, if they don't kill each other, they're going to go into partnership with one another. And when it happened, I was like, there it is. There it is.
But like the Ouroboros, the snake ended up eating its own tail. We rounded out at the end where we started in the beginning.
Right.
The guy who ends up taking the villain protagonist's life was the same dude who confronted her in the very beginning of the movie, because she had taken guardianship of his mom, and his mom died and he didn't get to see her and say goodbye. So he ended up killing her at the end, and it's like, you deserve that. I don't know what else to say.
It was wholly satisfying to see her get gunned down.
Oh yeah.
And just the blood covering that white pantsuit. It's just like, watch the light fade from her eyes, snuff her essence out, kill her dead, because she's a horrible person and just destroyed many lives. And to see her life just completely destroyed in an instant was just wonderful.
Yeah, I think
I love comeuppance like that.
I think that was one of the few people that I legitimately did not hate in this movie, was the guy that ended up shooting her.
He was literally, I didn't hate Dinklage's mom. She was just a mom.
Oh, I'm sure she was much more than that, though. Because
I'm sure she did things before, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, she had knowledge of stuff and everything, but in the way she was portrayed, though, she was just an old lady who was aware of all of her faculties and had a nice life and was able to take care of herself, but she messed with the wrong mom is basically what happened, and she let her know. You shouldn't have messed with me.
Oh yeah.
I didn't dislike her.
I like that Peter's size of being a little person was only mentioned one time in the whole film. And it was kind of casually mentioned. It's when they're putting him on that road and they're like, how much does he weigh? 100 pounds? No, about 120. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. Because that's something for me that I always want to see for people like Peter Dinklage, is like to get roles that don't immediately kind of take his size into consideration, because that's something that they get typecast for. So
oh
it's
yeah,
nice to see.
you know, as a short person, I totally understand. You know, I'm just barely above legal dwarf size. So I think Lydia is in that category because she's only 4'10.5", and I'm only 5 foot. We're very tiny people.
I think the cutoff for that is 4'10", because
yeah,
a friend of mine, his wife is 4'8".
Yeah, my mom's 4'10". So Lydia's just a little bit bigger than her. My mom has to sit on a phone book when she drives.
Damn.
We're just tiny people, you know. My dad, he was only he is only like 5'9", so he's not a big guy.
Dwarfism is generally defined as a height of 4'10" or less. Yeah. I did not know it was that tall.
Yeah. But, you know, again, how often are you around people my size?
No, I'm 6 foot. Everyone's shorter than me except for like a handful of people. So,
well, it's like I'm 5 foot. Everyone's taller than me. But one of the things that, you know, you get as a short person a lot is, oh my God, you look so much taller in your pictures. I'm like, how do you know how tall I am in my pictures? You know, you only think that because you're seeing pictures of me with other short women who are my sisters, you know, so we all look the same size. You don't know that we're just midget size. We're like little fun size candy bars, you know.
How tall did you say?
Tiny package.
How tall did you say Lydia was?
4'10.5". Yeah, she's so tiny. You can ask Maya. She's seen
literally half an inch above the cutoff.
Yeah. She is a little thing. I mean,
wow. She is dainty.
Yes, she is. She's dainty. There's no other way to put it. She looks like you could just pick her up and swing her around with a finger, you know. She's so tiny.
I thought it was much shorter than that. I thought it was like 3 foot was the cutoff, but
no.
Damn. Yeah, that's nuts.
I think even Peter Dinklage is like what? He's like 4'6", I think.
How tall is Peter Dinklage?
He's 4 feet 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
4 feet 4 inches. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's I mean, but again, I think he's hot. So.
I mean,
I do him. I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
Well, I want to give him full credit in his role in this movie because he was fucking intimidating. Like
he was.
Not once did I see him in any part of this that I went, he's not intimidating because he's a dwarf. It was literally like I'm less worried about him killing me than I am about like the bodyguards that he has who are like fucking 6'10" and could crush my skull like the mountain did to
that little man holds a lot of power.
It's and then like here's the other thing about it that's really dangerous about him. He's so short that if you're standing to him and he's holding a gun, he's not going to shoot you in the head. That sucks because if he's going to kill you, he's not going to make it like simple. Like he's going to be like, all right, shoot you in the dick because I'm eye line with your dick, and then your stomach, and then your head. Like terrifying.
Start at the ankles and work your way up. take out the support, then hit the knees.
Yeah.
Then start plugging them in the abdomen. Just cause a lot of pain.
Well, that's why I assume you go with the dick first. Shoot him in the dick first, but I don't know. I've never been shot in the dick, so I don't know how that feels. I did have my little brother kick me in the nuts so much when we were younger because I would tease him, and then that was his go-to, that they literally both swelled up to the size of like a little bigger than golf balls.
How did your parents allow this?
They didn't see it. My parents were split. Literally, my parents were split up at the time, and it was just our mom.
How'd you not knock the shit out of your brother?
Oh, I'm not saying that I didn't. It's just when he would hit me in the nuts, I'd fall over, and then like he would walk away, and then I'd fuck with him
asking
again.
Your mom for a cup, man. I mean, next time he tried to kick you in the nuts, he'd hit a cup, and he
if you ever did
think twice about that.
If you ever did it around my mom when she was like at home and not at work or whatever, he did get in trouble for it. And then when that happened, like it became a bigger thing where they were like,
yeah, he'd kick you double time the next time you were alone.
they were like, Jeff, stop hitting your brother in the fucking nuts, and Greg, stop fucking teasing your goddamn brother and getting hit in the nuts. I was like, yeah, okay. So, but I've never been shot in the nuts. Is my point.
He was giving you a vasectomy.
I would
A
not honestly be
hysterectomy.
surprised. I would not honestly be surprised if I was sterile because of that situation. Not that I want kids to begin with, but yeah, like I just he did a fucking phenomenal job with the role.
He did.
I think honestly everybody did a great job because if you can make me hate you as an actor, then you've done a fucking great job. And I hated everybody in this except for like a couple people, whatever.
It's like Rosamund Pike. She's going to be Moraine in The Wheel of Time, the new Wheel of Time that's coming out on Amazon in December. And Moraine is the main Aes Sedai character in the first book and throughout several of the first few books. I'm so excited about this because she's going to do a fabulous job. She has the face for it. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, no, I don't know the book, but I imagine, the actress did a good job in this, and I know her acting prowess. So as long as there's a good director pushing
the thing with Aes Sedai, the magic users in the Wheel of Time are women. Men go crazy. Their source of magic is tainted, and the Aes Sedai women who wield magic don't age normally. So they could be 300 years old and look like they might be 24. They kind of exist in that strange world of, I know this woman's older, but she doesn't look older, I love Aes Sedai. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about this, y'all. I've been waiting on this for years for somebody to make a good version of this. So I'm pumped.
There's a lot of books that get published. There's a lot of books that get published into movies or TV shows, and I'm like, I didn't know that was a fucking book to begin with.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about books is that anybody who deems themselves a writer can write a book, and even if it's mildly successful, it can become a movie at some point. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't we give a grade to this, call it a day on the podcast, and get on with our lives, huh?
Oh, Jesus.
What?
The way you phrase that, it's like, yeah, okay, fuck, we're done.
Luna says
two things. We've been talking for 2.5 hours, or we've been recording for 2.5 hours.
No, we've been recording for 2.5. We've been recording for 2.5 hours, but we've got to cut the first hour and like 3 minutes, and then at the 53-minute mark, I had to cut. And then 5 minutes later, we had to cut again. So I had to make 3 cuts in this edit that you're listening to now, listener, or viewing.
Love you, Maya.
And then we talked for an hour before we even started recording.
What I was going to say.
Pandemic, man. We need.
All I was going to get at was
I've been in here for 4 hours.
Yeah, just about, yeah. So I haven't eaten, and I'd like to eat. So let's give this a grade. Call it, do the outro, and then get the fuck out of here, huh?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Why don't you go first, Maya?
Okay, I'm going to give it an A minus.
Oh.
No, just regular A. I mean, it was really good. I didn't like the fact that, Marla and Roman formed a partnership at the end, and she did profit off of it rapidly for a while before she got her eventual comeuppance. I didn't like that, but the world works that way more often than not, so it was more true to life than I would like to admit, I guess. But yeah, I didn't find it to be a dark comedy so much as more of a thriller, and I just thought those situations, the things that they did to those people was just horrible. It just really makes you think. But everybody did, the small cast, because there weren't a lot of people in the movie. You see a lot of extras and everything, but actual on camera speaking roles, you didn't have a lot of that. But
yeah,
I thought it was well done.
The Russian mafia doesn't need to talk to each other. They just fake.
It was entertaining. It's definitely worth checking out. But yeah, that's what I think.
Who are you throwing it to? Who threw it to Maya?
Oh, I'll throw it to you.
Okay. mirror most of what you said. I knew that the ending of the movie wasn't gonna just be like, oh, they're now working together for this evil enterprise. I knew something was gonna happen. But I actually really did. I did enjoy the fact that they got together, because I was like, that was to me the inevitable outcome of this. Either one of them dies, or it's the inevitable outcome. So it just made sense to me. But also, like, I don't think that the story itself was a dark comedy as much as it just had dark comedy moments.
I get that.
Yeah, because it like, again, I don't think that the plot in any way, shape, or form counts as comedy, but I do think that there are moments where I'm like, that was really funny. Like, again, the shootout between the guard of the place, and I'm like, also, why does that guard have live round? Like, what the fuck was that? I've never seen a guard have like a fucking actual gun. I was like, all right, fucking whatever. But no, like, some of the other moments that were really funny to me was when in that same scene when she's like trying to very quickly get to the SUV, but is stopped by the other guys, and they're like, all right, vacation's over. I don't know why, but that line made me laugh. So, yeah, it was really fascinating. Like, I got really enthralled with what was happening, and I needed to finish it. Like as soon as like it got to the heavy parts that were Peter Dinklage and I can't remember the main character's name. Not
Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund Pike was the actress. Marla Grayson was the character's
Marla.
name.
That's what I was trying to think of. Marla. Yeah, when Marla was Marla and Peter Dinklage's character were
Roman
at it. Yeah. Yeah, it just I really enjoyed it. But yeah, A for me as well. Betty?
I'm gonna go full out and say A+. I thought it was great. I loved the fact that, you know, this pissed people off. It really pissed people off. I mean, I love that about this movie. It's like it told a good story, you know, and yeah, you're not supposed to like it, but you know, this is life, you know, and shit like this happens. And it was a great look into the minds of people like them, you know, and how they might think and how they operate. But, you know, again, karma's a bitch, and eventually you'll get yours. She
very
did.
Satisfying to watch.
Oh, so satisfying. Yeah, so definitely A+ for me. I think, you know, it was a good choice that we picked that one, and I'm glad everybody enjoyed it this week. So, because that other one was so bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing more movies too, because movies are 2 hours out of my day versus like a whole series. And I think that with what all of us have going on at different times, like being able to have more time to do other things and still be able to do the podcast with like an episode a week of a show or something like that.
Yeah,
like
and I'm sure y'all got shows you want to watch that we're not reviewing, just like I've got shows I want to watch that we're not reviewing, you know?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Got to keep time for that too.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us today. We are going to watch the finale of WandaVision and review it for the next episode. We don't have anything else we're going to watch, so we think we're just going to have a topic. We don't know yet. We'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We might also just talk about shit. I don't fucking know. Come join us, and then you'll know for sure. But I know that all three of us are very excited for WandaVision's finale. Other than that, let's see. I have notes that I don't have up, which is really fucking stupid. Make sure you follow us on all the socials down below. You can still pick up merch from us on Teespring. You'll find the link also down below. Make sure you follow the YouTube channel, because that's where you're going to be able to see our faces. Not specifically this week, all three of us, but normally all three of us.
Had a bad morning.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. But yeah, make sure you follow the YouTube channel, because something I want to do down the line is make clips, just short shareable clips that you can like put on social medias and stuff like that will maybe garner more attention towards us. But a lot of this, you know, situations where Maya makes fun of me and I say, no, the podcast's over. But yeah, other than that, that's it. That's all of that.
That was a poor impersonation of you saying podcast canceled.
I mean, have you heard me do any other good impression? Just asking. No, you haven't. Is the
Yeah. All right.
So, Maya, where can folks find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook under my name. And if they want to follow me on other platforms such as Twitter or Instagram, those profiles are linked to my Facebook profile, public profile. So it's easy to just follow me and find me and interact with me if you so choose. As for other podcasts that I'm a part of, I'm on two on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. One airs, both are live. One airs every other Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Figure Bangin'. It's a live action figure review show where we just cover it and crack jokes. And, it's a nice, usually hour of just cutting back and being silly. And then on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Nerd Life Syndicate, where we go into news about various news and other tidbits, information, what have you, in the world of pop culture, nerd entertainment, things like that. And lots of laughs are had. And this past week, Greg was a guest on the show with us, and we had a great time.
I was.
And that's everywhere you can find me. What about you, Betty?
You can find me on Twitter at Bright Betty, and you can find me on Facebook under Betty Badger Ogletree. And other than that, you can find me in Southwest Virginia. So, plunging a toilet.
You can find me.
And
on
that's not a euphemism for anything.
Nope.
That's just being dead ass serious. You guys can follow me on all social medias under Chub Rock Geek. And then you can also find me on the Nerd. The fucking podcast I did with Maya. Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Nerd Life Syndicate. There we go.
Yeah,
I got it.
There you go.
Pulling a Russ again. Also, Anthony uploaded more videos, or he uploaded the video from when him and I were discussing 2020 in video games. So if you want to listen to that, go find Mission Start podcast on any podcast area that you listen to, or on Mission Start tubes, or just Mission Start in general on YouTube. And you can listen to that there. But yeah, if that's something you're interested, go check that out. Yeah, other than that, everybody, I think it's going to do it for us. Again, make sure you watch the finale of WandaVision. I know you are, because everyone's interested in that fucking show. It is a cultural phenomenon.
No, they're not. They're not. I've seen some people that say they absolutely hate it, and I've seen a couple say it's just meh.
Oh, those people are wrong. It's fine to have wrong opinions, but whatever.
I know.
But yeah, I'm sure that people listening to this podcast don't hate WandaVision. At least I assume. If you hate
people
WandaVision,
I'm talking about.
If you hate WandaVision, let us know in the comments. Go to the Discord, go to the Twitter, whatever, and tell us why you don't like it. Tell us that we're wrong. Let's have a discussion. For fuck's sake, interact with us.
Yeah, change my mind.
All right, guys. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace, love, and pollypops. I got to go plunge a toilet. Bye.
Take care, everybody.